Good morning, good afternoon. I said good morning, and I would probably say good afternoon too, because the days keep blending together. I don't know what day it is, but the good news is we are continuing to progress through our amazing conversations with. For our audience at home, if you guys want to participate in the conversation, you can do so by posting on Facebook. Before or after, we'll make sure that we get the questions over to our guests. Today, we're joined by another franchisor and franchisee, this time from SoBol. Paul and Angelina, thank you so much for joining us. Paul, I'll start with you. Just generally speaking, how are things going? Where's your head at? How's your mindset? How are you navigating this crazy storm that we're dealing with?
Well, it's certainly been a journey so far, and things changing so much on a daily basis certainly has shown some challenges here, and it's been great in the way of communicating with our franchisees, and really, I don't think I've ever spoken to as many franchisees or as frequently as I have in these last 4 weeks now.
Do you feel like is it grip on what are the go forward opportunities when you're so stuck having these conversations in like a real time moment with franchisees?
I think that's definitely a challenge for not only us, but for every franchise out there, that the uncertainty that's out there of what's coming down the road next and what can we plan on, and with no end game in sight here. Also, with the whole word of it being May 15th being put out there yesterday, certainly has created a somber spirit today on our calls for sure.
And Angelina, how are you guys handling stuff? How are you doing from franchisee seat?
I mean, things are different. We have to staff differently, and it's just every day they're changing rules and regulations. Now they have to wear a mask when serving customers. It's hard because we have a lot of young staff members, and every single day you're changing something on them. They have to adapt. And scheduling is hard because you just don't know what to expect.
Hey guys, Paul, SoBol is sort of a young brand, but it grew at a good pace. And I think management-wise, it was one of the wisest acai brands in terms of your team focusing on minimizing square footage, focusing on building hub and spoke models for growth. I mean, what decisions have you and your team made over the past couple of years that now in a crisis really stand out as decision-making you're glad you took, and things that you think the system is benefiting from? Not to say we're not struggling, but at least benefiting better than competing brands.
Well, I mean, Charles, to that point, I feel like we're certainly positioned in a much better spot than many other concepts, many other independents, many other franchise brands, that we are predominantly takeout and delivery, not much dine-in. One thing that we did a couple of years back was we limited the amount of cafe concepts that we have. So our original offering was either an express version or a full cafe with a full kitchen. By minimizing the amount of those stores that we have, we definitely positioned ourselves in a better way for ourselves, a better way for our franchisees, with a lower operating cost. And even just in this past year, really drilling down on the labor and what it takes to effectively and efficiently run a store has really come into play here, that many of those guidelines and steps were taken even before we came into this crisis.
So in essence, work you did as a brand, clearly not on purpose to prepare for a pandemic, but some of the guidelines and decisions that you made as a brand are now actually working to your favor as you try to position and navigate this thing.
They absolutely are.
So Angelina, many times, I mean, we've had the benefit of franchisors and franchisees right? And you're in a unique position. You made a decision. You're working with a brand. You're in the system right now. If you could think back to the time where you were considering buying a franchise, ultimately, what led you to SoBol? What was that intangible when you decided this is the right team for me? And now, as you've moved forward, how do you reflect on that, and how do you feel about that decision?
I mean, when I picked SoBol, they were very new. It was just a couple of stores when they had started out, and I had joined the team. I'm pretty happy with my decision since then. I mean, one of the biggest things is that we don't need a big space, and I think touching back on what you guys had said, with the rents, everything's based on square footage. So being that we don't need a huge footprint, I think that's part of a great thing that we have. And I mean, we as a company, we haven't had to change too much with the things that are going on right now because we already were very clean. Our staff members were always consistently washing their hands, changing their gloves. So that's just something that SoBol already had in place. So we didn't have to change too much in those aspects. But I like the simple menu that we offer, keeping it simple, one really great quality bowl and just a couple other items that we offer. I think that really helps us during this time, not having too much variety.
Paul, as we start thinking about the future of where things go, it's going to be interesting. We heard a data point on one of our conversations with that somewhere in the range of 40% of gyms or fitness concepts that were open pre-COVID will not be open in a predicted landscape, will not be open either post-COVID or a year past COVID. But the reality is, I mean, you guys fit into the health and wellness side perfectly as well. You've already engineered the business model. And because health and wellness is a category in franchising has been at the top of the list, and to the consumer, it's going to continue to be top of the list, maybe even more so after this. Are you at all thinking about opportunity and that, some of the great stories of you supporting your franchisees now is going to help to additional growth, and that on the other side of this, that there's ownable room for you guys in a space that you may be able to sneak in a different way? Is that at all in the discussions that you're having or that you're thinking about? Or are you still so stuck in the day that it's hard to get to that level?
No, Nick, I think it definitely is. And the fact of our communication level with the franchisees has really shown us how important that is and how much they look for the guidance. And in the same way, the amount that we're learning from dealing with a lot of franchisees that maybe weren't so involved with their daily operations as much as they are right now. Many of them have scaled back to the point where they're working their own stores even more so where they weren't. So we're learning a lot from them, like they're learning a lot from us. As far as being in the healthier food category here certainly positions us well. The fact that we were involved with third-party delivery leading into this, the Grubhubs of the world, the DoorDash of the world, something that if you asked us 2 years ago, we would tell you, hey, we have a predominantly frozen product and, it's temperature sensitive and that wouldn't be the right fit for us. And in this last year, we really saw that we were leaving money not only for ourselves, but mainly for our franchisees on the table and really jumped into that. It's paying off in droves right now.
Well, how do you, as we go through this, we've been talking, a lot of people use the word pivot. It slightly irritates me after a while because it becomes a meaningless term, and sometimes brands don't need to pivot. They need to keep digging deeper into what they've been doing. I remember early discussions with the SoBol team, and what I've appreciated is from the beginning, Jason and your team have been very focused on maintaining that footprint, very focused on the takeout model, and where I've seen your competitors stray away in big space that they don't know what to do with. I mean, forget pivoting. Do you go deeper after we come out of this crisis and really fine tune? And is there even more ways to drive the takeout nature of it, drive the efficiencies? I mean, I got to think that's a positive aspect you guys are looking at on the other side of this, no?
Charles, it absolutely is. As far as pivoting, I don't think we're doing much pivoting. I think we're doing what we do well and just driving that home and doing more of it. And as many other acai brands have got more involved with expanding their menu and doing things that are kind of out of their wheelhouse, we've continued to stay on task and really just sell a great bowl. And to Angelina's point, concentrate on that one great bowl with some variation. And I think we're going to just continue to keep doing that. Obviously, the landscape of business in general, and for us as well, is going to change. We're going to be doing more of the self-service kiosks possibly in the future, and something that we've been exploring, up until this point. And I think we're just going to be doing a lot more of the things that are in line with our mission, vision, and values that we've been doing.
So both of you, if you were to review that, and think about something that you're like, thank goodness we put that in place, or I'm so grateful that this is a part of our model. Angelina, I'll start with you. Like, as you reflect, as you're navigating these waters, what part of SoBol are you saying we nailed that, and that's and it's so valuable to what we're trying to accomplish as a business?
Right now, I think that would have to be our online ordering platform. It was a really slow start to begin with, but during this time, specifically right now, we're seeing a lot of people using the online ordering platform in large groups, and our ticket overall has increased, and everyone is kind of logging on, ordering it, running in, picking things up, and going. So we had that in place before, but I think that right now that's really key for our business, is having that online ordering platform working smoothly and generating some new customers, and our existing customers are really using that.
And Paul, same question. What is standing out as you reflect backwards and say we nailed that thing?
I mean, certainly the online ordering is a great point, something that we just started this past July and really has grown in leaps and bounds. From the operational end of things, I would say it's also on the cross-training, whereas our original model focused more on separate job tasks within the stores. Over the last 12 months, we've really streamlined that to cross-train every person that's coming in and working, and for every team member to really embrace the whole customer service, exceptional guest experience every single time. And I think that's paying off right now.
Paul, talk about mission values. How is that planning process of having and living those mission, vision, values? You guys had to lean on that. Many times when people are going through the process of aligning why they exist, their purpose, many view it as an academic process, right? Like, we're going to do it. It looks good on a website. I know you guys take it to heart. Have you had any experiences you could share with that, and where you really had to lean in onto that, and you're glad as a team you guys thought that through before this?
No, certainly. And I mean, I think that's something that was more recent than anything else, that we really have got full team participation on truly believing in all that. We all have believed in it in the past and pieces of it, but we've had on our corporate side real camaraderie as far as focusing in on that and really having that guide us on the decisions that we make. You're right. I think a lot of people do that just for the exercise of doing so. Certainly not the case with us. We're the day improvers, and that's what we try to keep in mind in every decision that we make, whether it be operationally, whether it be on a marketing front, whether it be about giving back now. We're the day improvers.
Angelina, when you came back to the moment you decided to become a franchise owner versus going a traditional route of owning your own business, now in a moment like this, when you have support, when you have a community, do you feel grateful? Has that changed? Has that helped you validate the decision to even become a franchisee in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that right now is when you kind of really need to lean on the franchise system, whether it's the franchisor or even possibly other franchisees, we're all a team. We all need to succeed during this. It's hard for all of us, and it's really nice to have that sense of a family, to lean back on, whether it's questions about things that are going on, regulations that are changing. They have a lot of different loans that are out there right now, whether it's just talking about staffing. There's so much that goes back to being a part of a franchise system that I really think that right now shows you the importance of it.
So guys, just, I think I'm at the point, I think many people are probably like, okay, we've been good. We've stayed in. We got this. The world's great. Everyone's like killing it. But like today, for me, I'm like not feeling completely. I mean, today I'm going through strategically decision-making processes on the plus end, on the negative end, how to prepare. Where are you guys at? Are you on the upslope, downslope, ready to just start kicking some butt, ready to get mentally, where are you at in terms of when do you think we're coming out of this or easing out of it? What do you guys want to see happening?
I mean, for me, I think it's kind of discouraging that they changed the date to the May 15th. I don't think that they're going to open up New York State on May 15th. May is usually a really superior month for us, and June as well. The weather is beautiful. A huge piece of our business is college kids coming home, and they're already home, and we're missing out on that. We are doing a lot of online ordering, DoorDashes and Uber Eats, but it would be really nice to see our customers being able to come and walk in the door and take their bowls to the beach and things like that. And just, it's kind of discouraging right now because we'd love to open up and we'd love to go back to normal, but it just doesn't seem like we can see that within the next couple of days or couple of weeks even.
What does your gut tell you?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What does your gut tell you when people are going to be able to, is there going to be a moment in your mind during the summer when someone gets to walk into your store, pick up a bowl, and walk to the beach?
I think that it's going to be July 1st.
Okay. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that it's going to be before that. It was certainly a little discouraging, the May 15th thing. I would happen to agree the latter part of June. I think it's less and less likely that the kids are going to be going back to school and that we're going to be returning to any sort of normalcy in that way of the school year. I will say this. I mean, we certainly, when we have a warm day, as we had this week, we see the uptick in sales, and we love that, and something certainly to look forward to. And it's a little glimpse of hope when we see that, though.
Does a moment like this, perspectives for both of you, reflect back on it and say, us as a country, we clearly were not prepared for this because we're getting just socked in the gut by it. But a lesson learned out of any really big crisis or downturn, even in our personal lives or our business, is on the other side, it should make us stronger. That now it changes our perception on how we prepare for things. We might look at marketing differently at different points of the year. Do you feel like, is there silver lining in the lessons that get learned from this that eventually get cross-applied to business?
For me, I feel like it's it's certainly cliched to say that you will be judged on how you handle this in time of crisis and how you manage relationships at that point. But I truly do believe that will be a piece of it. I do think that we'll come out as a brand stronger after all of this after we go through this, and I think it will help in many different ways. It'll show the community that we were there, individual stores were there throughout these times. I think it will ultimately help in sales, that SoBol were able to stay open. We were an essential business and we pushed through it, and everybody was strong, and we came out on the other side.
It's reflecting, sort of have inside knowledge. I've worked with your team and stuff, and I'm just reflecting over the years. There was pressure on your team to approve space that was too big. adopt other models and stuff. And so, it's interesting because there's a lot of what's unsaid about a brand or that people never see on the surface. And a lot of it is the decisions made about not deviating from a course and a plan of action. And I think some of those are holding true right now as I look at you guys go through, whether it's the quality control from Paul, Jason, your entire team. But I mean, time and again, as there was demand, right? Other competitors were going with bigger footprints. And I just love that you guys stuck to that decision making, and it's bearing out right now. And boy, I can't do justice to that decision, except if I could ever take someone back in time, listen in on those conversations, and the steady hands by your team really to stick to the plan. So I think that's really great to see right now.
No, I certainly agree. And, there were things that we, learning curves for sure, and some things that we maybe bent on and whatnot. But as far as keeping true to what we believe was the best thing to allow on the build outs, I think that's coming back as the right decision, more so now than ever.
Paul, when you look at the end of the year, obviously there's a shift that goes on with every business right now, and we're hearing it from franchisors. Mission one right now is get to the other side. Like, let's make sure that we can protect our franchise owners so that they are open for business on the other side of this. Clearly, mission one. But it's interesting because going into 2020, I'm sure so many brands had big visions for how this year was going to look, whether that was unit volumes, whether it was increase in sales, whether it was new franchisees, whether it was expansions. At what point do you start planning for the remainder of the year? Or is it like that sort of goes on pause because it's all hands on deck to get to the other side, and then we'll worry about planning? Does planning shift at all, or does you push it to Q4? Are you talking Q1 of next year? Like, how is that working internally for you guys?
Some of the planning, especially in the development end, is certainly taking a back seat right now to making sure that the current open stores are as operationally sound and profitable as they possibly can be. So, I mean, as far as the planning end of things, yeah, the development has taken a back seat.
Charles, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I coughed earlier. I apologize about that. So, as I know we're getting to the end. I mean, Angelina, anything you'd like to share for future? The people are going to be, there's going to be economic disruption. There will be individuals who are going to be looking to go into business. What we're finding is what in the past people considered individual ownership are now looking to franchising. So if someone is looking right now, if they're considering buying a franchise, whether SoBol or something else, what advice do you have to share with them?
I would have to say that they need to pick a franchise that they stand behind, something that they believe in, whether it's the same kind of morals as the franchise system or the product or both. But they should really look for somebody who's going to support you in a time like this. See what different franchise systems did during this time. I mean, SoBol as a whole, we've been giving back. We've been giving back to kids who weren't able to eat lunches during this time because they didn't get their school lunches. We've been giving back to different hospitals, nursing staffs. So if that's something that is true to your heart, then you should definitely be looking into different franchise systems that did something during this time. It didn't just sit back and watch, and see if you were going to make it or not. Somebody that was there to stand by you. So I think it's important to find a brand that you have kind of similar or the same beliefs in.
It's great advice.
All right, as we make this final turn, let's go through just final thoughts and how you guys are going to navigate these next few weeks. Paul, I'll start with you. Just final thoughts that you want to share with the audience.
One thing that I really didn't touch on so much is how we're seeing not only the franchise stores, but in our own corporate stores that even if it's a store level employee, we are seeing that there are many people that are shining right now and really rising to the occasion and doing a great job and caring about the communities that they're in. And it's that's one thing. When we come out of this, we will get a better feel for who the great players are, not only as franchisees but also as store employees.
Yeah, I mean, you said this on how you behave in a time like this, and you'll be remembered for both good and bad. I think brands are going to be remembered for the mistakes that they made, like probably more than ever during this time, and then the good and the community, like that's going to elevate brands to the forefront. I appreciate that thought. And Angelina, any final closing thoughts?
I think that it's just really going to come down to us sticking together as a team and working hard through all of this, not being wasteful and over ordering on anything, and keeping our staff really strong. And like Paul said, we have a lot of really great team members who kind of have blown me away during this whole thing, who've just really risen to the occasion. When we had some people who stopped working and others that just really wanted to work more and give back, it's really been great.
Love it. And Charles, final thoughts?
No, look, if it's great to see franchisor or franchisee. Angelina talking about being part of a team and blowing her away, and Paul talking about people rising to the occasion. That's what it's all about. On the other side of this, I don't think any of us are going to have any tolerance for BS, and that goes with brands and that goes with teams. And I think it's going to make us all stronger. And I think it's an amazing testament, Angelina, you being so candid and straight to the point, which I think is amazing. And Paul, I know what your team does. So, I think it's, I think on the other side, as the curtain's revealed, SoBol's going to be one of the brands that, is going to have proved itself out. So thank you, guys.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah. My final thoughts are this: there are emerging brands that definitely have a pathway to excuse to say we are not as big of a brand as everyone else, therefore we're not going to support in a way that's on a competitive landscape. And I find it refreshing that here's another example of a story where it doesn't matter if SoBol has 100, 500, 1,000 units. They're still going to support and act and pivot in a way that makes them just as competitive as the biggest brands in this world. And I think that's an interesting thing that franchising has taught us, that size becomes irrelevant. It all has to do with the human connection and the ability to reach and say, what can I do to help? And the fact that teams, which that's a term that's come up, that teams are willing to say, let's talk through all of the processes on the back end to try to find the pathway forward. It's refreshing to see this, because this is the point of franchising, that you're not in it alone. Charles and I spend plenty of conversations, just the two of us talking, because we don't have franchisors to talk with, so we need to find support in other ways. And it makes us, I think both of us, jealous that we're not a part of a franchise system, because you guys, like, it just gels together. And I'm so fascinated by the breaking of the wall between franchisor and franchisee. Like, industry has taught us to put this wall up that says, franchisee, your job is to follow our system, nothing else. And so now franchisors are saying, hey, the wall's still there, but let's lower it a little bit and let's have a conversation over that wall. And you're a smart person. What could we be doing, or how can we help? And it's rewrote the conversation that my hope is on the other end of this, brands can look at a SoBol and say, hey, it doesn't have to be so black and white. Let's try to build some gray area into this, because there's a lot of smart human beings within a brand at any level that when we can access the collective, we have a shot to be a championship winning brand. And it's cool to be able to see that in a story like this. So obviously, to the two of you, I wish you guys the best of luck as you continue to navigate this. We're all hoping that we can find a solution sooner than later. But even if it takes later, just know that you guys having the right mindset from a team standpoint, and that we are going to be on a mission to get to the end, that's going to propel you to the end of this, and you'll live to see another day in this crazy business and health climate. So I appreciate the two of you. I wish everybody that's watching a great weekend. Thank you for joining us for another week full of conversations. And best of luck, and we'll see you on Monday. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.